You don't need a diploma to shovel gravel. That's what my father said at 4:52 a.m. when he woke me up for my first day of work. I was 17. He'd already pulled me out of school. My name's Caleb Rowe. I'm 32 years old, owner of an industrial systems firm operating out of northern Colorado. But this isn't a story about business. This is about the morning my father decided I didn't deserve a future. I remember the sound of the engine before I was fully awake. Old F-150 idling in the driveway, headlights cutting through my window like interrogation beams. He didn't knock, just opened my door and said one sentence. Get up. You don't need a diploma to shovel gravel. I was 17, 3 weeks from graduation. I hadn't packed for college because we couldn't afford it, but I still planned to walk the stage. I thought maybe we'd take a photo. Instead, I pulled on jeans that still had grass stains from yard work and followed him to the truck. No questions, no complaints. I already knew it wouldn't matter. The sky was black. Birds weren't even up yet. The truck heater blasted dust instead of warmth. He didn't speak until we were halfway out of town. You're not smart enough for a desk job, he said, eyes on the road. I'm giving you something better. Real work. Real men's work. I didn't answer. Just nodded like I understood. We pulled up to a half-finished foundation surrounded by floodlights and frozen mud, steel beams, rebar piles, gravel trucks backing up slow, spitting out stone like they were angry at the earth. Rick met us at the edge. Hard hat, cigarette, clipboard with grease smudges. Dad handed him a folded paper. Maybe a waiver, maybe nothing. They didn't look at me. Fresh meat? Rick asked. Dad just climbed back in the truck and drove off. No goodbye, no instructions. Just a cloud of red dirt behind him. Rick pointed with his chin. See that gravel pile? That's your classroom now. The wheelbarrow leaned like it had a limp. The handles were splintered. I tested the left one. It cracked on contact. Rick laughed. Figure it out. I shoveled for 6 hours straight. No breaks, no gloves, no instruction. My palms blistered by hour 2. Peeled open by hour 4. Blood mixed with sweat. Every time I tightened my grip, I tore them wider. At noon, I asked where I should take lunch. Rick pointed at the porta potty. Chef's kitchen, he said. Then he and 2 others walked off laughing. I sat inside the plastic coffin, choking on blue chemicals and diesel exhaust, and ate half a protein bar I'd found in my jacket from weeks ago. The wrapper was torn. I didn't care. My boots were too thin, my socks soaked through. I couldn't feel my toes, but I knew they hurt. I didn't cry. Not because I was tough, because it wouldn't matter. I came home through the side door so I wouldn't get mud on the carpet. My father was watching a baseball game. He didn't look up. You make it through? He asked. Yeah, I said. He nodded. That was it. My mother was washing dishes. She kept her back to me the whole time. Not one word. Upstairs, I peeled the gloves off like skin. The blisters had torn completely. I wrapped my hands in toilet paper and duct tape, then lay on top of the covers in my work clothes, boots and all. I stared at the ceiling and waited for morning, because I knew something they didn't. I wasn't going to shovel gravel forever. I was going to own it. I went back to the site the next morning. No one asked me to. Rick didn't say hello, just pointed at a new gravel pile, different size stones, more awkward to carry. The wheelbarrow handle broke on the second trip. I patched it with duct tape and the metal bracing from an old clipboard I found near the burn barrel. It held. They stopped mocking me after the first week. Maybe because I didn't talk. Maybe because I didn't quit. By week 3, I didn't even hear their voices anymore. Just the scrape of metal on stone, over and over. That sound still lives in my jaw. I was paid in cash under the table. $60 a day. I gave $40 to my parents. Kept the rest in an old coffee can I buried under the back porch. I didn't eat breakfast. Lunch was 2 boiled eggs and tap water. Dinner, whatever was left. Usually nothing. Nights I sat on the garage floor with my boots off, feet bleeding into old rags. My hands were leather by now, calluses so deep they didn't flex right. One evening I knocked on the front door and asked my dad if I could borrow a towel. He said, "Towels are for showers, go back to work." I didn't ask again. At 19, I moved out. No party, no bag, just my truck, a stack of pay stubs, and a sleeping bag tied to the roof. Dad never said goodbye. Mom left an apple on the passenger seat. That was the most affection I'd received in 3 years. I slept in the truck behind a lumber yard, kept the engine off to save fuel, worked a framing job during the day, and did cleanup for a warehouse at night. No days off, no clock, just task lists. Winter was the hardest. I wrapped my hands in cardboard and duct tape before pulling nails. Sometimes the gloves froze to my fingers. The dog showed up during a rainstorm, half-dead mutt with ribs like piano keys and a limp in the back leg. I fed him a peanut butter sandwich and he never left. I named him Bolt, not because he was fast, he wasn't, because he stuck, like a bolt in rusted steel. Bolt slept under the truck on dry days, in the cab with me when it snowed, never barked, never begged, just breathed in sync with me like we were on the same clock. I started reading manuals I found in site dumpsters, electrical diagrams, safety codes, project maps. At night, I watched free lectures on YouTube inside the Wi-Fi range of the county library, sat in the truck with the screen dimmed, and wrote down everything I didn't understand, taught myself Excel on a cracked Chromebook someone had thrown out, one page at a time. I didn't study to prove anything. I studied because I'd already figured out the system wouldn't help me. I had to build my own. When I needed certification, I forged the high school diploma, paid cash for a night class at the technical college 2 towns over. Nobody checked the name on the envelope, they just cashed it. Passed every exam on the first try, HVC, forklift, welding, safety auditor, basic accounting. I failed one test, site planning and CAD, took it again 2 weeks later and scored 98. They offered me an internship. I declined, didn't want a desk yet. By 23, I'd built a crew, 2 guys from a roofing job, one who'd been fired for being late too often, another who didn't speak English but outworked everyone on the site. I paid them $25 an hour and bought their tools myself. We called ourselves Clock In. No logo, no marketing, just a truck with a toolbox and a silent guarantee. We'd finish what we started, always. People noticed. First it was a deck rebuild, then a full siding job, then commercial insulation and structural walkthroughs. We delivered under budget every time. Clean sites, no injuries, 0 noise complaints. I reinvested everything. No vacations, no upgrades. I lived in a trailer behind a supply store and ran payroll on a fold-out table. Bolt slept beside the radiator. His limp never got better, but he never missed a morning. I still drove past the original gravel site once a month. It had been leveled, new foundation poured, luxury condos in progress. Every time I stopped at the light, I'd hear Rick's voice in my head. "This is your classroom now." He was right. It was. No tears, no praise, just forward. By the time they started asking where I learned all this, I was already too far ahead to care. I didn't tell anyone I'd formed a company, didn't announce it, didn't post about it. No ribbon cutting, no smiling photo in a cheap frame. I registered Clock In Contracting LLC in a government building with yellow walls and a clerk who didn't even look up from her sandwich. Used my trailer address, paid the fee in 20s I'd stacked in and on. No investors, no debt, just sweat and repeat customers. By 24, I had 6 workers and a backlog of contracts stretching into the next. We didn't advertise. We didn't bid. We were word of mouth, only the crew that showed up early, finished early, and cleaned up so well the neighbors sent thank you. I still did every job personal. Steel-toed boots, hard hat, calloused hand. No meetings, no clipboard. When we poured a driveway, I laid the rebar myself. When we framed a roof, I stood at the highest point with a nail gun and a harness that pinched at the waist. People asked why I didn't step back, hire a foreman, build a brand. I told them I liked the work. That was only half true. I didn't trust anyone else to carry my name right. At 26, we picked up our first city contract retrofitting municipal service buildings with ADA ramps and solar reinforcement. The job was supposed to go to a legacy firm, but they came in 22% over budget. We came in 18% under. The city clerk said we were surprisingly efficient, such a small team. I nodded and signed the check. We didn't charge late fees. We didn't send follow-up surveys. We just moved to the next job. Bolt was still alive back then, slower now, gray in the muzzle. I built him a padded platform in the truck bed and strapped him in during long rides. He liked the wind, ears up, eyes half closed like he was remembering the first time we left home. I bought my first property that fall, a condemned supply yard south of The gravel was still intact. Half the fencing was gone. It looked like nothing to anyone else. To me, it was a classroom, the same kind I'd started in. I renovated the site slowly, installed new piping, leveled the north edge, brought in a steel structure, and built it over 3 weekends, 2 guys. Inside, we set up a 1,200 square foot fabrication. Welders, sandblasters, wall pan with every color printed in Spanish and Vietnamese. I called it The Bench. It wasn't open to the public. No ads, no ribbon cutting, just a rule. If you've been fired, forgotten, or figured out too late, we'll show you how to work again. That was it. We didn't charge tuition. We didn't ask about your record. If you showed up sober and on time, we'd teach you. Every Friday, I handed out gloves and basic kits. Most guys failed. Some didn't. The ones who made it joined the crew. Quiet men. Good hands. No drama. We rebuilt them from the boots up. At 28, a supplier offered to buy the company, said we had operational potential and vertical integration value. I said no. He slid a paper across the table with 7 zeros on it. I slid it back. I didn't build this to sell it, I said. He looked confused. Most people did, but I didn't need to be understood. I needed to be left alone. That same year, we got the state contract to rework the transit hub downtown. I had to wear a blazer to the hearing. Still wore my work boots underneath. Scuffed, split at the toes, same ones from year 1. I didn't speak much during the presentation. let my engineer walk them through the logistics. But at the end, the board chairman asked me one thing. Mr. Rowe, where did you learn all this? I could have said college, or training, or apprenticeships, something safe. Instead, I said, gravel. He blinked. I didn't elaborate, just stood, nodded, and left. I started seeing my last name in contracts after that. Rowe Systems, listed as the tech vendor. Rowe Group, registered as the insurer. All mine, all separate, all firewalled. I didn't need a brand. I needed leverage. By 30, I had 12 crews, 6 states, and 2 warehouses. Every man in every hard hat knew one rule. Show up, shut up, build right, go home. We didn't do motivation. We didn't do slogans. We did results. The funny thing about success is that when it's quiet, people assume you're small. They don't realize silence is the signal. I drove past the old site that summer, the one where I first shoveled gravel, where my hands bled through glove, where I ate lunch in a porta potty. The condos were finished, sold, high-end, landscaped. I parked across the street and stared for a while. No one recognized me, didn't need them to. I wasn't there for applause. I was there to remember what a shovel sounds like when you drop it in gravel at the end of your first day, and what it sounds like when you pick it up again. Everything built, no celebration, no forgiveness, just forward. The last time he spoke to me, he said I wasn't smart enough to be anything. The next time I heard from him, he needed help paying for the hospital that was keeping him alive. It came as an email. No subject line, no greeting. Just 3 sentences typed from a burner Gmail account I didn't recognize. Caleb, I'm sick. Need help. Underneath was a hospital invoice. PDF, unpaid balance, $38,612.27. The name at the top read, Franklin Rowe, Doe B, March 7, 1962. Condition, renal failure. Onset, rapid. Dialysis recommended. Insurance, none. There was no, I'm sorry. No, how have you been? Not even a please. Just need help. I stared at the screen for a long time. I wasn't in the office. I was at home on the floor of my garage, adjusting brake pads on the truck I'd rebuilt twice already. The dog was gone now. Bolt had passed the year before. Quietly, no veterinarian. Just a heavy breath and a stillness I didn't know how to respond to. The email was time-stamped 2:17 a.m., middle of the night, middle of nowhere. My father was alone, and for the first time in his life, he had no leverage. I didn't reply. Not that night, not the next morning. I made coffee, went to work, walked the yards, reviewed blueprints, ate lunch on a steel beam 30 feet above ground, watching the crew move like clock hands. I didn't mention it to anyone. There was no anger, no sense of victory, just a noise inside my skull like gravel shifting under a boot, a sound I hadn't heard in a long time. That evening, I opened my inbox and typed exactly 13 words. Company policy. Employees receive up to 92% coverage. Apply here. I pasted the link to the employee intake form. No greeting, no signature, no name. Hit send. Closed the laptop. The next morning, my assistant knocked on the door. We got an inquiry through the HR portal, she said. Older guy, Frank something, no resume. Wrote in the comments that he needs help. She paused. Says he's your dad. I nodded. Process it like any other. She waited for a second, maybe expecting more, then walked out. The application came through incomplete. No social security number, no prior work references, just a checkbox marked, will work any position. I didn't read the rest. The algorithm marked it read ineligible until fully submitted. That's what stayed in the system. 3 days later, another email came through. Different address, same tone. Please, just need time. Don't have anyone else. I didn't respond, but I did forward it to our compliance officer. Marked external contact, no action required. It went into a folder called Unverified Outreach. One of my site supervisors called that week. We got a guy asking about part-time maintenance, he said. Older. Walked in off the street. Rough shape. Said he knows you. What's his name? Frank Rowe. I didn't answer. You want me to send him away? No, I said. Give him the brochure. Which one? You'll know. The brochure was pale gray, heavy cardstock, company branded. Clock in. Internal systems and industrial recovery for employees seeking long-term medical coverage, financial relief, or transitional support. Inside, it outlined our worker-first model, built by survivors for survivors. Medical assistance, housing options, psychological counseling, full anonymity. It looked like kindness, and it was, for those who earned it, for those who had built with us, not those who had broken us. 3 more messages came through over the next week. One was from my mother. Your father isn't doing well. He's scared. Please, just talk to him. That was the first time she'd contacted me in 15 years. She hadn't spoken up when I was 17. She hadn't looked at me when I came home with blood-soaked hands and gravel in my hair. Now she wanted a conversation. I archived the message. No reply. The last attempt came in the form of a phone call. I didn't answer. Voicemail picked up. His voice cracked halfway through the message. It sounded like sandpaper being dragged over glass. I was wrong. I should have helped you. Should have said something. I'm not proud of how it went. I didn't know you'd turn into this. Whatever this is. Then, you built something, I know. I don't even know how, but I'm sorry, okay? Just, please help me. Click. No tears. No full apology. Just the sound of a man who'd realized too late that his house wasn't on fire, it had burned down years ago. And he'd handed the match to the one person who never forgot. I didn't delete the message, but I never played it again. Revenge without violence. Power without gloating. Silence louder than screams. He applied for aid. 6 weeks after the voicemail, my company's medical relief wing received a formal application through the Clock and Resilience Fund, a charitable program I'd founded 6 years earlier to help injured workers rebuild their lives. It was meant for men like I used to be, broken hands, bad backs, no family, no savings, no record, the ones no one remembered, the ones who still showed up. His paperwork came through our automated form, shaky penmanship scanned by library copier, missing fields, no resume, no employment record in 10 years. But the medical documents were real. Kidney failure, declining vision, nerve degradation in both legs, prognosis, poor, life expectancy without assistance, 18 to 24 months. It was signed by an attending physician I knew, a former trainee from one of our company clinics. That made him eligible. The relief fund processed it like any other. No priority, no prejudice. We weren't in the business of retribution. We were in the business of rebuilding what life forgot. But rebuilding requires foundation, and he had none. He was placed in a partnered assisted living facility outside Greeley, one of ours, though he didn't know that. I had personally signed off on the retrofit for the South Wing 5 years earlier. ADA-compliant showers, air-purified dorms, garden-level activity zone, afternoon light through every window. The window in his room faced east, straight toward the Clock and Systems construction yard across the road, the yard we used to train our new hires on real-world equipment. Steel beams, scaffold drills, lifting protocols, gravel pouring, forklift testing. Every day at 8 a.m., the sound of shovels on stone echoed across the asphalt. He asked for the owner's name once. The nurse didn't know, just said the man came by sometimes. Drove a silver truck, quiet, wore boots that looked like they'd been through hell. He didn't ask again. 3 weeks in, he began volunteering in the courtyard garden. Started with weeding, then moved to raking. Eventually, he asked for something heavier, to do something to keep his hands moving. They gave him a bucket and a steel trowel, let him help re-level the gravel walking path on the east side of the yard. He worked for hours, didn't stop even when it rained. One of the staff snapped a picture old man kneeling on one leg, scooping gravel into a wheelbarrow with a plastic scoop, back bent, shoulders folded in like he was trying to apologize with posture. They sent it in the monthly newsletter. I saw it by accident, didn't save it, didn't delete it, just stared at it until my coffee went cold. He made a complaint a month later. Said the yard work made his fingers ache. Requested new gloves. The clinic sent him a pair. Same brand he'd tossed at me 15 years ago. Ripped in the palm. Nobody knew his story. Not really. They knew he had a son. That much slipped out once during dialysis. He said the boy had built something big. They asked what it was. He didn't answer. I visited the facility once. Didn't go inside. Just sat in the truck across the street and watched the windows until I found the room with the half-closed blinds and the plastic chair by the glass. He didn't look out. Didn't know I was there. That was the point. My assistant forwarded me a message later that month. It was from the clinic's outreach coordinator. Mr. Rowe, we have a patient who says he's your father. He's requested to speak with you directly, but we've advised him all communication must go through staff. He claims he was responsible for your early career path and would like to reconnect before his condition worsens. Let us know how you'd like to proceed. I wrote back in one line. Please remind him, medical relief is provided unconditionally. Reconnection is not. He tried one more time. Letter. Handwritten, shaky script. I was hard on you. I thought I was doing the right thing. I didn't know it'd make you disappear. I'm sorry for what I said that morning. I'm sorry I made you shovel that gravel. I didn't know what else to do. The envelope wasn't sealed properly. The stamp was crooked. There was no return address. I folded it once and put it in my glove box. It stayed there for 6 months. Then I threw it away at a gas station halfway to a job site. Didn't unfold it again. Didn't need to. He lived another 1.5 years. Died quietly. No funeral. No family listed. The facility handled cremation. The ashes were mailed to an old P.O. box that no longer existed. They were returned to sender. justice delivered without touch, a legacy forged without forgiveness. I didn't go to his funeral. There wasn't one. Just a file, a date, a line marked unclaimed. The email came on a Tuesday. Subject line, deceased patient notification. Sender, end-of-life services, Northern Haven Facility. Name, Franklin Rowe. Date of death, March 18th, 5:12 a.m. I stared at it for less than 10 seconds. Then I archived it. Didn't forward it. Didn't print it. Just slid it into the place where forgotten things go. He died alone, in a state-funded bed, paid for by a program I designed. He never knew that, and he never saw me again. 6 weeks later, I took a drive. Not to visit a grave. There wasn't one, but I needed to walk. And there was only one place where it made sense to do it. The lot had been cleared years ago, but I kept the back section intact. Original gravel. Untouched. Never paved. I parked the truck at sunrise. No vest, no clipboard, no gloves. Just boots and quiet. The gravel crunched under my steps the way it always had. Dry, heavy, sharp. Same sound as 17. Same weight. I didn't look around. Didn't need to. Every stone knew who I was. I walked the perimeter, then the middle, then stopped in the dead center of the lot and stood still. The cold came through my jacket. Wind caught the corners of my collar. Birds somewhere overhead. That was it. No speeches, no final thoughts, no ghosts whispering in the back of my head. Just gravel and silence. People talk about forgiveness like it's a gift you give someone else, like it's a balloon you let go of, float away, be free, start fresh. I don't see it that way. Forgiveness is a door. You either walk through it or you don't. Some people never do. Some don't deserve to. I walked back to the truck, sat inside for a while without starting the engine. There was dust on the dashboard, Bolt's old collar still hanging from the rear view. I looked out at the gravel one last time and thought about the first morning. The bruises, the blisters, the voice that said I wasn't smart enough, the shovel that broke on the second day, the silence that followed. All of it. I remembered it clearly. Then I let it sit. Didn't need to carry it anymore. As I pulled out of the lot, the tires rolled slow over the stone. It crunched beneath me like it had been waiting, like it remembered too. I never told him what I built. I never showed him what I became. But every road he walked on near the end, I paved. And that was enough. That's all for this story. I'll be back with another one. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It motivates me to create more content like this.